Go live and scroll.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to episode number 2 of When Your Parents Insist on Staying. This is a weekly Facebook Live series powered by Gracefully at Home Caregiving, where we bring you education, expert insights, and practical tips to help you make those informed decisions when it comes to your aging loved one, caregiving, and home care. My name is Tammy Sermons. I'm a registered nurse, elder care consultant, and a certified dementia practitioner. Every day, I serve as Chief Caregiving Officer of Gracefully at Home Caregiving and the Area Director of Southeast Florida Elder Care Planning Council. We created this series because we know there's many questions out there surrounding aging loved ones and what do we do and where do we go next and where do we go for the resources. So I've honored myself this evening with a host of experts in this field and all across the spectrum. And we're going to talk to you this evening about a subject um, the 5 signs that it's time to consider care for your aging loved one. And before I go any further, I want to introduce you to some of the panelists that I have with me tonight. So we have Lou from Age and Place Sacramento. Lou, would you like to say hi?
Of course, it is good afternoon from my side of town. My name is Lou. I am the geriatric wellness nurse specialist from Age and Place Sacramento. And I am very glad to be invited in this class and this episode on Facebook Live. And today, like Tammy mentioned, we are diving deeper more into aging and what are the signs to consider as nurses. Most of us are nurses here. Into when is it time to consider looking at options to care for your loved one? And welcome.
Thank you, Lou. Welcome. And we have Isakin from In-Home Caregiving of Illinois. Welcome, Isakin.
Hi, good evening, everybody from the cold Chicago, right? So, my name is Issa Bobo. I am a nurse practitioner and a geriatric care consultant. I also serve as the area director of the Chicagoland Suburb Care Planning Council. Gosh, this is my sweet spot. I love this conversation, this topic, and I love what we do. So thank you. Kudos to you for bringing this topic to the public. This is really commendable. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Yay.
Very well. Thank you for being here, Isakin. And then we have Stella Insong of the Caregiver Relief Network. Welcome, Stella.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. At the Caregiver Relief Network, we talk everything caregiving. So you are in good company. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Tammy, why did I think that we wanted to do this live? According to my screen, we are recording, but we're not live. Is that true? Or is it me?
No, we are live because I
Okay,
am
wonderful. Because I
seeing
wanted to
Tammy
show the
live.
whole world hears us. Okay.
Yes.
There we go. All right.
We are live. We are live.
Yay!
So let's just jump right into it, ladies. So we know that the topic of discussing in-home care can be sensitive, but yet it's a very necessary topic. For example, over this holiday weekend for Thanksgiving, most of the calls that I was getting was that people have come in town to visit their parents, and they didn't realize their parents were at the stage where they needed help. And they were like, I don't even know where to start the conversation. So this is real. It happens every day, and it's a struggle for us to go through. So today we're going to talk about 5 signs that you know it's time to get some care to start the conversation with your family, right? So first of all, let's talk about the different types of care that it could be, right? It could be maybe you need to bring in home care. It could be maybe it's time to do some adult daycare during the day, right? If that's where the issues may be. It could be assisted living. Maybe it's time for assisted living or even memory care. So that when we talk about time to have that discussion, it talks about all things care related, right? It encompasses so many things. So we're just going to delve into some signs, and ladies, feel free to kick in. But I'm going to talk about the first sign that you know that it may be time to get some care for your loved one, and that is social isolation. right? So sometimes we have loved ones, aging loved ones who we know have been outgoing socially. They're used to playing their card games, their mahjong, canasta, right? Their poker. They're used to going to karaoke night or whatever it may be to play bridge or whatever. And you've noticed a sudden change, right? Or even an eventual change where they're not wanting to go out as much. They're not wanting to talk to their friends as much. This is a change where they're starting to isolate, and it's something that requires a conversation because we need to know why. There could be many reasons of why this is happening, but we need to dig a little deeper to see if there's something that we can put into place for this social isolation that they're going through. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
Oh yeah, I'm happy to jump in on that because it's so true and it's so common. First, we have to look at what's going on, right? Life transitions does lead to this type of social isolation, right? And most older adults, being a nurse practitioner, my first thought is gonna be, oh, there's depression. Is there possibly is there depression? Do we need to treat and medicate? And most time that's where most people end, right? It's let's just get her on some antidepressant and that's it. But really, looking at social isolation is not just a physical change, it's a psychological issue, it's a social issue, right? So we have to look at the person holistically. What does this person need? There's a recent study that I read that one of the most the major cause of fall in an assisted living, in an assisted living is social isolation, depression from social isolation is the leading cause, not medication, not the rooms or the environment. It's social isolation. So it's a serious topic and it's really something to consider for sure. It's not something to be taken lightly at all because your overall well-being and dignity depends on how engaged older adult is. So for that person, you want to look at them holistically. Who was this person? Is this typical behavior? What did they like to do when they were younger? After looking at all of that, then what resources can we put in place to start getting this person from this complete isolation to the beginning stage of engaging and embracing this transition that is happening, right? It is life transition taking place, right? You're afraid of losing your loved ones. Your neighbors are dying. Your friends are passing away. Now you have tons of medications you don't understand that you're taking, and all of that good stuff. So it's one of um, um, the most significant risk factor to look into when someone is falling frequently, especially in the home setting. So I really, it's a really important topic. It's a really important thing to look into and address immediately. And when we're addressing this, we're looking at it holistically, not just medically, but holistically.
Right.
Engagement, it's such an important piece of our overall well-being. And I really love to hear what everyone else is saying. Is this what you
You
guys
just,
see in your experience
it's
as
okay,
well, right?
you just shocked half of the world.
Exactly.
You shocked half of the world because you said that study stated that in assisted living, the leading cause of falls is social isolation. So people are going, wait a minute, wait.
A little bit. Yeah.
Aren't there like hundreds of people in assisted living? There are like many people.
Different.
This is what I mean when I say you just shocked the world. Many people don't realize that in assisted living, there is not a whole ton of care.
Right.
In assisted living, you are there for 24 hours. There is 24-hour supervision. But the amount of care your loved one gets in assisted living can be as small as 2 hours in a day. Right? And that's collectively from other departments. So the nurse who brings your medication, the person who brings your meal, the activity that you go, it can be that little. So when you say that people are isolated in assisted living, I'm sure many people went, what?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a huge misnomer too, is that when people think
Yes.
their loved ones are going into these facilities, that, oh, there's going to be 24-hour service there. No,
Okay.
it doesn't mean that. I mean, there's 24 staff there,
Yes.
yes, but it doesn't mean that
And
they're
they're
going to
not,
be,
an assisted living is not designed for 24-hour care. They're
right.
not designed for that. It is, quote,
Yeah.
assisted living. So they're supposed to assist you to live well, right?
Mhm.
But many families would say, oh, I need to put my mom. And there are families who would go from getting around the clock care at home and placing their loved one assisted living. And I would go, wait a minute, we're going backwards,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? We're going backwards.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, Tammy, very important topic. Thank you.
Yeah. And then when you couple that with our recent COVID thing which brought isolation to most all of us, right? Some
Right.
people are still stuck in that, right? So they
Right.
never really came out of the isolation from that.
Right.
So just curious, Lou, if you've had any instances where you've noticed social isolation.
We're talking about I for isolation because I know people will listen to this eventually. Number two is environment.
Mhm.
That is one sign to look at. So one of the things to consider when your loved one's potentially ready for assistance or to go into another facility. 5 minutes ago, before the call, I got a call from our managers and say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith's family arrived during Thanksgiving. They realized that mom and dad needed more care. This is the family with 5 children scattered all around the parts of the world. When they call mom and dad, everything is perfect, fine, all is well. When they arrived, they saw the true situation. And they called us and say, we're increasing hours. Can we schedule a Zoom with you? What are we going to do? Help, help, help. So a lot of families, think about that. Everything is fine, but when they truly see, so that's why coupled with isolation, then the environment, it shows, right?
Mhm.
From the paperwork, right? They used to be able to do emails, then it stopped. Now they're more people, they're mixing up their appointment times, they're canceling and they're rescheduling. Those simple things. But when you come to the home, it is a true reflection of their memory. It is a true, because if your mom and dad is somebody that's very organized, right, and suddenly can't find things, that's another sign. It might be very simple, but that's important. So
Yeah.
number two, environment.
Okay.
Precisely.
Precisely. It's a very good point. So
Absolutely.
the next thing we should be on the lookout is cognitive changes, right? When there are some changes in the way that they do their activities of daily living. And we're talking about more than just misplaced keys or something like that, because I do that all the time. I walk into the kitchen and forget why I was there, right? But we're talking about something that's a little bit more than that, right? When they start driving themselves to the grocery store and then all of a sudden they can't remember how to get back home, right? Or they have asked you the same, you had a very full discussion about something and they come back to you about that same topic as if you never talked about it before. So those changes in that cognitive ability that's gonna impede them carrying out their activities of daily living.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. You guys have anything to add on that one?
No, I think you covered that one all.
All right.
Yeah.
You
We
got
did.
it. You covered it all.
So far we have the social isolation, talked about environment, look at the environment, and of course you're looking at the cognitive changes which you just talked about. And yes, those are great examples you provided.
But wait a minute, I have a thought.
What's that?
Is this where we educate people briefly regarding the word dementia and cognitive impairment?
I think that would be a great idea.
It's okay. Do you want to handle that, you being the nurse practitioner? Because many people would think that if the doctor says dementia, then you have some kind of Alzheimer's disease, right? Like many people do not realize that it is a general term. It's okay. Do you want to run with that one?
No, the simplest way to put it, that more than 100 types of dementia. More than 100 types of dementia. Alzheimer's is one of the most common features of dementia. And so when we talk about someone that has cognitive changes, and usually most people will have what we call mild cognitive impairment or mild cognitive changes, right? MCI, which means it's not a full diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia, but it's just mild cognitive changes. And these people are still very functional. They can still take care of themselves. They can still drive. They do forget things, but they eventually find their way. We call it high functioning, right? Yeah, high functioning and still, to some extent, safe at home. And this is the really best time to diagnose this condition because this is the most important season and the period, the window you have to make the most impact when it comes to the entire disease process. So in this stage, especially as we're talking about when you think it's time for mom to get care or dad to start getting care, this is the best time. You know why? Because the intervention you put in place now can either delay the progression of the disease
Mhm.
significantly, improve their dignity and outcome significantly over the extent of the disease. So that isolation you just talked about usually come even in this season of mild cognitive impairment. So if you have someone in the home or someone that comes in 4 hours a day to do some kind of activity with them, they go out to the library, they go shopping, they go get ice cream, they do things together. All of those social activities just keep your brain engaged. Go to the library, sign up in the book club, whatever you could do to help keep that mind engaged. This is the best time to do that. And that is when you know changes can happen. So this is a really good segue to really talk about when do my loved one need care. It's not only when they're incontinent or when they cannot walk anymore, when
Right.
they're immobile. This time, just mild cognitive impairment, that diagnosis is an indication that yes, let's start doing something right now.
Exactly. Exactly. And we can do a whole nother series on just dementia and mild cognitive impairment
Oh
in and of
gosh,
itself,
yes.
Oh,
right? Because
we could talk about that for about 12 hours.
straight. Yeah.
Mhm.
So very good. Thank you so much, Isakin. So the next way we can tell that parents may need some help is safety concerns, right? Lou kind of touched on this when she said environment. So we want to look at safety concerns. Are they falling, right? Are they unable to traverse stairs or steps in the home? Are they leaving the stove on? Right? They
Mhm.
think they're cooking something and then they finished. They thought they turned the stove off, but they didn't. These are some areas that you want to say, okay, we gotta have this conversation. And then is there clutter? Is there rugs? All of these things come into play, right? Because we know as we grow older, as we age, some of our senses start to decline, right? So where we may have been able to go up and down stairs with no problem, eyesight, hearing, all of these things start to come into play that are on the decline that can cause safety concerns. So we want to make sure that the environment, as Lou was saying earlier, is safe for our loved ones to be in, which means that we have to be mindful, right? When we go there, are we looking around? Are we looking for extension cords? Are we looking for these rugs that are flipping up at the edges? And if so, or if we notice there have been some falls and some trips, we know it's time to have that conversation.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. Very good. My biggest tip for families during the holiday season
Mm-hmm.
is to have your loved one be screened for depression.
Mm.
Mhm.
Because the
Great.
signs that you see in depression identical to the signs that you see at the early stages of that cognitive impairment. And very often, if you treat the depression, those symptoms either reduce or go away.
Yeah.
That's my biggest holiday tip for families is that if you notice a change, start by screening for depression. And that's isolation is part of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good. That's real good. Thank you, Stella. Thank you, Stella. Our next sign that we need to look at is decline in health or mobility, right? So now we're talking about where dad used to go out and play tennis with his friends, right? He's no longer able to do that, right? Or now we're talking about maybe they're too sluggish to get up from the couch, right? So they're stuck watching TV all day. These are sometimes can be subtle signs, but they are important signs nonetheless. So if you're noticing these changes that are happening in your loved one, it's time to have the conversation. And you guys are going to get tired of hearing us say this, but there's some things that we can kind of take for granted and we go about our day, but there are some things that can just sneak up on you. And we just want you to have this information so that you can be better equipped when it's time to have that conversation. Other issues when it comes to decline in health or mobility that you guys can think of, maybe if they're diabetic and they're not taking their medication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if they have high blood pressure, they're not taking their medication. If you're noticing that there's some frequent urination going on, right? We can do a whole topic on what UTIs can do to our aging people, right? We can do, that's a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah.
What are some other areas of health and mobility that you guys can think of that we need to be on the lookout for?
Well, for most families, the person that's having the conversation with the aging loved one, they need the tools and the correct syntax to make their information heard. I remember a daughter who had called and wanted an assessment of the dad. She was a long-distance family caregiver. And I walked into the house, and here's what she says. Dad, she is here to talk to you about care because you can no longer live in this house. You're just not safe. She said it exactly like that.
Wow.
This is the dad who was the high-profile executive, and now he's feeling like this tiny little guy. Because now all he could think about and worry about was his dignity.
Correct.
So I had to take the daughter in and say, let's start over. So I had to teach her how to say it so that the dad would listen and respond. That means we could have a 12-hour conversation on just how do you talk to them. Yes?
Yeah. And that's something that has to be acquired, right? Because we're used to seeing mom and dad being strong, being healthy, on the ball, doing things the way we're used to them doing it. So when we see changes, our first thing is to resist because we don't want to see this change. Sometimes we don't want to acknowledge it. So it takes, time to really gather your thoughts and say, okay, this is happening. I got to be the person that's telling them this, and I need to do it in a way that they're going to receive it, right? Because the last thing an aging person wants, especially if they've been an executive or a business owner or anything like that, is to be told what they can and cannot do. That is the quickest way to get them not to listen to you, by saying you need to. That it's a wrap.
I have seen people be taken off the wheel.
There you go.
The word assisted living, the mom is like, I am taking you off my wheel.
So so being able to have that syntax and the right words, and we're going to talk about this too, but the right timing. It means a lot, right? Yes. When you're having a good time with your parents at Thanksgiving dinner, I don't know if they're in the moment of having a good time. That's not the best time, right? Because you're about to ruin the turkey dinner. So we don't want to do that. So thank you for that point. And then our last point, the last thing that we want to make sure that we're looking out for is us as the family members. What are we noticing, right? Let's not turn a blind eye to everything. Did we go to dad's house 3 times on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and each day he had on the same outfit? Right? Did we come there and the same pile of dishes are still in the sink when mom's usually a very, very clean person? Right? So it's about what we notice. We know them better than anybody, right? We're the closest to them. So we're going to notice these things, and we shouldn't just shrug everything off. Sure, some things are just usual aging. Some things are just a usual day, but we have to be cognizant that some things are not. And so we need to be mindful of the things that are happening that may mean something more, something different, and something needs to be done. Any comments on that one?
I was going to say next week we should talk about how to talk to them? Like
It's
tips for the family, since we're
tips
already
for the
talking
family.
about when is the
Yes,
right conversation.
that's it.
So how do you
How
take
do you
away the
talk to
keys?
them? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I'm
how do you
glad you
take
mentioned
away the
that, Lou,
keys?
because
How do you take away the keys?
I'm glad you mentioned that because I had that on the topic to talk about tonight, but I think it
Yeah.
deserves its own
Yes, it
time
does.
as well.
It does.
It needs
Yes.
its own floor.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
a
I agree.
it's a
So
master class on talking
It's
to
a
your
master
parents.
class.
it's a class you guys don't want to miss, right? So
Yes.
everybody out there in Facebook land, make sure you come back next week because we're going to be talking about these tips on how to start that conversation, how to have that conversation.
Yes.
If it's your first time or if it's your 20th time, you still can't get enough information to be able to help you through this process.
Right.
So we've talked about 5 different areas to look for when it may be a sign that your loved one may be in need of care, whatever that means, care in the home, care away from home. We hope we have been insightful for you and that you've taken away something from these 5 tips that we've given you this evening. Before we close, I want to allow my panel to leave some closing words or any more advice that you'd like to give our audience.
I would say that if you're a caregiver, I want you to raise your hand up. I want you to reach across your shoulder and tap yourself on the back because you are doing the thing that most people cannot do. It is one of the hardest things to do. So thank you for all you do as a family caregiver.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stella.
Okay. To close on my end, we always say for us nurses that caregiving is an act of service. Caregiving is an act of love, but we also know that caregiving is not enough,
Yes.
right? People, the children would need to know when to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help, right? But in order to do that, you got to be well equipped with a lot of information. And it starts here on the Facebook Live.
There you go.
It does. Yes, it does. Isakin,
Yes.
any final words, Isakin?
Is this okay? No, it's okay, maybe frozen.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you go. It's okay. It looks like your screen is frozen. It's okay. Oh, there you go. Maybe.
Okay, is that
Yeah.
better?
All right. There you are.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I was just gonna say this is a great last minute talk there. Trying to see how to match that. But I think really just kudos to all the family caregivers out there. Just to echo what everyone have already said. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to accept help. And it's not a sign of weakness. So take care of yourself as a family caregiver. And of course, use all the resources that you have available to you. Reach out to Tammy. She's in Tampa, Florida. You're Florida, right? Reach out to
Yes.
Tammy, Florida. And
Don't worry.
yeah, maybe I want to go to Tampa. That's
Yeah, I
why.
think you want to go to Tampa.
Reach out to her and any one of us in any of the state, we're willing to help. And just talk to someone, talk to a consultant, start planning early, start planning now, because we don't want to wait for a crisis at all when it comes to our aging loved ones. Let's put a plan together. Get hold of one of us or any other geriatric care consultants that you may have access to, and put a plan in place. It always works out according to plan once you put a plan in place. So thank you, Tammy, for inviting us. I had a great
My
time.
pleasure. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join me tonight. If I had to say some last parting words, it would be, for the most part, it's not if you become a family caregiver, but it's when, right?
Yes.
We know that people are living living longer these days. So it's kind of inevitable, right? And we're either going to be the caregiver or we're going to be the one receiving the care, right? So the good thing about it is you don't have to walk this road alone. You have a plethora of resources and information that's out there. We're here every week for you, and we'll be across platforms for you so that you can have that information. You can have the tools that you need to help you on this journey. You don't have to walk this journey alone. So again, I thank you for joining us. To reach me, I am in South Florida, Isakin. I am in Palm Beach, South Florida. So to
Even
reach
better.
me, to reach me, you can call us. Our phones are answered 24 hours a day. If you don't get us right away, you get our voicemail. It means we're helping another family, but we'll get right back with you. And you can reach us at 561-218-4703. Or you can reach us on our website, which is www.gracefullyatHome.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us all over the place. But just reach out. We don't care how you find us. Just find us, reach out, and we'll help you the best way we can. Until next time, take care, be safe, and tell your loved ones that you love them. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.